Welcome back to Mrs. Law's class. In this video, I'm going to show you how to write the equation of the asymptotes of the hyperbola and also how to write the equation of the hyperbola given some information. So to write the equation of the asymptotes, we're going to use the slope plus or minus b over a and a point on the asymptote. Now usually we can use the center for the point. And this is handy because it's usually given to us in the equation. Then use either form, either the slope y-intercept form, given right over here, or the point slope form, given over here, to write the equation. So let's take a look at an example. So let's write the equation of the asymptote of this hyperbola here. We can see that the slope is going to be plus or minus, and it's b over a. B is the number underneath the y squared, and a is the number underneath the x squared, but don't forget we have to square root both of those numbers. So it'll be square root of 16, which is 4, and the square root of 100, which is 10. And simplifying this, we get plus or minus 2/5. In the center here, we don't have anything adding or subtracting y and x, so this will be 0, 0. So we have our slope and we have our point. So we're going to say that we have y minus 0 equals 2/5, and then x minus 0. And then this simplifies to y equals 2/5 x. Now notice that we don't have any other point, so we have 2/5 x. So therefore we can write the other equation of the asymptote, the negative slope one, to be y equals negative 2/5 x, since nothing's going to affect that slope. All right, let's take a look at one more where the center is not at the origin. So here we have plus or minus the square root of 4, which is 2, and the square root of 9, which is 3. So our slope is plus or minus 2/3. And then our center is 2 and negative 1, because remember we take the opposite number of what's in the brackets. So our first one, we're going to have y plus 1 equals 2/3, and then x minus 2. So here we have y. And now seeing that I'm going to have 2/3 x over here minus 4/3, I'm going to change the 1 to 3 over 3 so we get a common denominator. So now I have y equals 2/3 x. And when I subtract 3/3 from 4/3, or negative 4/3, I'm going to get negative 7/3. Now let's see if there's anything different when I use the negative slope. So this will be negative 2/3. It still goes to the same center point, 2, negative 1. And again, I'm going to change my 1 to 3/3. So I can see that I'm going to have to use 3 as a common denominator. This time it'll be plus 4/3. So y equals negative 2/3 x. When I subtract 3/3 from both sides, this time I actually get plus 1/3. So if there is a point that's not at 0, 0, we need to actually use both of the slopes, the positive and the negative, to find two separate equations for the asymptotes. All right, next I'm going to show you how to write the equation of a hyperbola given some information. So to do this, you need to have the center and both a and b, because those are the values that we need to write the equation in standard form. Now I recommend that you draw a diagram to help you visualize the problem. And then also we're going to use the slope of the asymptotes and proportions to find a or b, which is usually what's missing. Now remember, when a question states that a curve is passing through a point, that point is actually going to represent x and y. So here's an example. So write the equation of a hyperbola in standard form with center 0, 5. So remember that stands for r, h, and k. And it has a vertex of 6, 5, and a slope of one of the asymptotes is negative 2/3. All right, so let's draw a diagram to help us understand this. So we have center 0, 5. And we have a vertex at 6, 5. So this is our center. And we then know that this hyperbola opens left and right since the vertex is 6, 5. So we also have another vertex at negative 6, 5. All right, now that's helpful because now we know that this distance here, or it's our horizontal distance, A is equal to 6. All right, now we also know that the equation of one of the asymptotes is negative 2/3. So if I actually build a triangle here, that triangle has a slope of negative 2/3. And we know that represents B over A. And therefore we have negative 2/3 equals to B over 6. And we can actually just use our proportions without having to cross multiply, because we know that 3 times 2 is 6. So negative 2 times 2 means that B must be equal to negative 4. Or it can also be positive 4, because remember, this is going to be our slope. All right, so we have x minus 0 all squared divided by 6 squared plus y minus 5 all squared divided by 4 squared. Oh, and I made a mistake, which is a good mistake, because remember, it's a hyperbola. So remember, it has to be a minus sign in the middle. And that equals 1, because we notice that the hyperbola opens left and right, because the vertices are left and right of the center. So we have x squared over 36, and then minus y minus 5 all squared over 16, and that equals 1. So that's how you write the equation of a hyperbola.